Is this meditation tonight? You better tell him yes.
Say okie dokie.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Okie dokie. This is okie dokie.
Can you join us?
I can. Welcome to Earth.
Is it the dancing bear?
Oh, I strangled him.
Oh no! I thought he was dancing.
You know, he's definitely dancing.
Well, you were strangling, didn't you?
Yeah, that's what they say when they put someone in the hangman's noose.
Oh no.
They're dancing. Poor Bar.
Not for long.
He was dancing. Huh. The dancing bar.
neighbor was asking me something.
Pretty what?
Oh, my neighbor was texting me something.
Really?
She wanted to know about the big Sur fire, if it was under control. I said I thought it pretty much, 60% or something.
You could say you're down there with marshmallows and hot dogs and having a bake out.
Everyone's worried at this point.
Having a bake out. Not a fake out, a bake out. Good evening, my fellow Earthlings, and all others from any other star system who would like to come and participate. So we'll probably have thousands within the etheric watching, observing. The magic, the mystery of the Star Tetrahedron as it spins around as a form of light and consciousness. It then opens a sacred doorway within the very middle, within the area of the Heart Chakra, back into the void, where we then summon and call spirit forth into manifestation. And as we're then holding attention, the light of the Christ field, we then illuminate within the void the choices of creation. They arise forth. The spinning star tetrahedron creates a holographic light emanation. The substance of the Oma then gathers substance around it, and then the breath of spirit, the breath of life coming from the breath from inside out, then those three combine together. And so we have spirit, we have consciousness, and then we have embodiment or form. And so it's the three that become the one of manifestation. And of course, this is the way that Source creates. It then created the three. It created the spirit, the breath. It created the light, the Christ. And then the substance, the Oma, that then precipitates what the Christ, that the spirit enlivens. The Oma then precipitates it and creates form around it. I think, as you all know, that I sent you out an email that the book came out. It is, of course, Source Dialogues. It is the miracle mechanism of manifestation. And of course, we all know that as the Star Tetrahedron. And why it is such a very important book, because it details very specifically what is going on within the world today as far as the climate, the destructuring of life around us, the water, the soils, the things that are going on. And it puts in a perspective of that life is always adapting, life is always changing. It then again posits solutions for what we can do to adapt to this great change that is before us. And the way that we adapt and the way that we change is we then must adapt our consciousness to this new frequency that is moving into the earth grid. Earth is an evolving consciousness, and now she has moved into another trajectory of her evolution. The whole galaxy that we are within, as it turns within the Milky Way, our particular solar system just went through in 2012 a whole nother level of light activation as we moved into a place of ascension through a photon belt of light. And of course, we know that before that, the last 12,000, approximately 200 years, we'd been in the descending level of light. And so it was the time of then moving into the darkness. And now we once again ascend back into the light. And whatever is within the old paradigm, that is manipulation and control and needing and grasping and wanting and desiring, is falling away, it's destructuring pretty rapidly. And it's going to destructure much more rapidly as we move forward, because as we embody these new frequencies of love and we then emanate this beautiful feeling of love and light, we then are emitted a frequency just like the sun. And so we're not trying to change the world. So imagine that someone is standing in the cold and they have this very thick overcoat on, and the sun starts to shine brightly. And the sun doesn't demand that someone take off their overcoat. It simply starts shining ever brighter and brighter. And pretty soon, the warmth and the radiance is so strong, we then simply decide to take off the overcoat. And so, we who are emanating light and life, we're not trying to change the world. We're not disliking it, nor judging it, nor giving it negative energy by criticizing it. Because when we do that, we're simply acknowledging, this is simply acknowledging the fear and the separation that's within us. And so if there's something within that is feeling separate and lonely and worried and fearful, we then project it out and we illuminate it in the world and we say, well, that's happening to me, or this is going on, and I'm now a victim of that. But in fact, you see, it's simply mirroring what is the possibilities of not reacting, not judging, not criticizing, but standing clear in freedom. And from that freedom to emanate the Christ frequency from the Star Tetrahedron. And as we were doing that, it's just like the sun shining so brightly and someone takes off their warm coat in the warmth of the sunshine. And as we are emanating, of course, much more of this light, as we know all around the world, there are so many individuals that are doing such magnificent work now in consciousness, podcasts and emails and teachings, on and on and on. And so the light that is now beginning to emanate, it, yes, illuminates the darkness, the manipulation, the control, and the manipulation, the control, it becomes worried, it becomes fearful. And so it then wants in some way then to deny and fight back. But if we then join in the denial and the fighting, you see, we've come back down again to that level. And so we want to stand clear and have compassion and have understanding that these individuals are going through a travail of restructuring. They might not have been so graced, you see, with the knowledge that we have of the Star Tetrahedron, of the Christ wave, the Christ mechanism, that we can then summon life from inside out. And so it is inviting us to another level of compassion as we emanate this light, and the destructuring continues on apace. The other, of course, beautiful thing is, you see, as we're no longer judging or criticizing or disliking, we're then emanating gratitude, we're emanating compassion. And we know from the Christ star, the Star Tetrahedron, that whatever we are emanating, it's then literally going out as vibrational ripples, just like when you drop a ripple into a pebble into a pond, the ripple goes out 360 degrees all around. And so that ripple that's going out from us of gratitude and peace, it's then automatically restructuring and calling to us things of gratitude and peace and renewal and prosperity. And so we can be assured that we're creating a new life for us by simply being in the now, being grounded, emanating the light from the source that we know lives and breathes from inside out of us. Again, we're not looking to change something out there. We know and we are feeling that the source of life emanates from inside out. We're literally summoning the breath of spirit. We have formulated the Star Tetrahedron, where power and love are now being unified within us. We know that we simply focus the light, we breathe spirit in, it then emanates out, and then the Eoma, which is then structuring it, creates it to be so in the world. And so we rest every day more in peace and plenty and gratitude. I was talking to a very good friend of all of us, Nancy, and she was talking about how she was waking up this morning with such gratitude and such feeling of joy and abundance in her heart. And I said, yes, because you've been on this pathway now for many, many years with us, and you have now refined and honed your consciousness to let go of that emotion that was put upon you, that overcoat of your upbringing, of your less than. There's something not quite right about you. You have been empowering yourself and recognizing simply the divine child of magic within. So this is what you see each one of us have done as we've been on this pathway. We've honed, refined, we let go of the emotion of separation. And now you see we're beginning to truly emanate this very, very strong and beautiful light. And as it is, again, illuminating from us in a very potent degree, it's going to, again, illuminate more darkness. When we bring a very bright, bright light into a room, for a while, see the darkness is, the shadows, they're highly illuminated. But over time, you see, as the darkness is dispelled, then everything simply becomes light and joy and peace. So we don't worry about the darkness. We simply keep bringing the candle flame of light that each one of us is carrying within our heart into the room, and we keep illuminating and bringing more life and light. I'd like to, of course, once again, recommend the book Source Dialogues. It's a phenomenal treatise. There are 54 source dialogues that delve very deeply into the creation experience, into the understanding of the Christ wave as the source of creation, how it is that we are then able to breathe source in and through us and bring life and light into this dimension, and where we are now moving to in this new paradigm that's before us. So it's not so much that I'm recommending because I did it. I'm recommending it because it has tremendous information and wisdom for you. I could say it comes back with a money-back guarantee, but I'm always saying that. My workshops always came with a money-back guarantee. I come with a money-back guarantee. So I really encourage you, my friends. You'll find that there's a magnificence in it. I, of course, have read it, I think, 8, 9 times now as I've gone through the continual editing process of sending it to the editor and then formatting it and bringing it back and reading through it. And I've just now sat down with it once again the last 2 days because I got my first copy, and going through it once again. And every time I do, there's another little aha experience. It's like, oh, yes, I missed that. Now, one of the things that I recently missed, and it was, Source was talking about, I was asking the question, how is it that we move into a place of the recognition of God I am? And Source then said, here is the mechanism now for the enlightenment of your core. The brain shuts off, and then what comes online is the spinal cord and the brain stem. And I realized in that moment that that was a tremendous aha, because when the mind becomes quiet and we move back to the very core, the spinal column, it's that rod of initiation that is held by all of the Egyptian priests who taught enlightenment in Egypt. And so then there is the perfect rod, but at the top you see is the Ankh. And the Ankh is then the brain stem. And so the spinal cord and the brainstem become pure crystal light. And as they become pure crystal light, you see, there's no resistance whatsoever within the brainstem and the spinal column. And because source is a crystalline structure of pure light, we're then able to literally then create and know everything from inside out. It becomes like a giant crystal antenna, the spinal cord, the brain stem. The brain, you see, is the processor. It's what we use to remember, to formulate, to bring creation into manifestation, but it's the brain stem and the spinal column where we then can sit and rest in pure peace and then know everything of Source God from inside out. We become the vibration of Source God. And then with the Star Tetrahedron, you see, moving around us, the Christ star, we know from inside out the mind of God I am. We then illuminate it with the Christ star. We breathe life into it from the open doorway within the heart. The Eoma precipitates it into manifestation, and literally the loaf and the fish becomes real. This is where we're moving in our, again, trajectory of enlightenment. We're actually moving into manifestation and creation. It's who and what we are. We just became so ignorant and lost in the manipulation and control of the paradigm that we're within that we forgot it. But now we see we're in the apocalypse. Apocalypse means the unveiling. We're unveiling the thick coats of energy that were put upon us. The sun is shining brightly. The sun is the great God I am that's within you. And as it shines brightly, you then begin to remove your coats of emotion and fear and loneliness and worry. And as you set them aside and live in light and compassion, you then become the creator being you always have been, now awakening within physical form. This we call God on earth. It's the Christ field, it's the Christ mechanism. Christ, not a person, but a condition, a mechanism of creation. It is the original, the origin of all creation within the universe, from the atomic to the galactic. At the very beginning, there was the void. The void asked the question, what am I? And there was light. That is the light of the Christ condition that then began to illuminate the void. And as it illuminated the void, then the whole manifestation of the universe began. That is the Christ condition. It's the Christ wave, you see, that we are individually learning to master as we do this work together. So very exciting to have you with us this evening, and really moving forward in a very dynamic way in our work with the Star Tetrahedron. Of course, I've been doing this work. I was rereading some of the dialogues today, and I was introduced to the breathing through the Star Tetrahedron in 2016. And when I first began, I think I told you last time, it was a fuzzy, incoherent, kind of funny looking thing. But over time, as I've stayed with it and I've imagined it and I've felt it and I keep visualizing it, it's now become this very dynamic form that is now flowing around and front and back and all around, and the doorway opens and you can literally feel yourself breathing living light back into this dimension, and every day it becomes more clear and precise and dynamic. We teach our way ourselves into the Christed way. So dedication and clarity of focus, my friends. One of the things, of course, that we're learning that is so very important in our work is that breath from spirit is what then actually enlivens and gives life to our manifestation. If breath is not within something, a tree is breathing, a cell is breathing, all tissues are breathing, animals are breathing. If there's no breath, there's no life. And so it's the breath of spirit, you see, that we're summoning from inside out. That is the breath of our creation. It's what gives you life. And we now know that as the star tetrahedron is moving and the open doorway within the heart is there, and this beautiful vortex, this portal, from out of it, you see, we're breathing and summoning source. Spirit, as it then touches the facets of the spinning star tetrahedron, and it creates this golden liquid living light. It's actually then emanating Christ light out into the world. This is the living sunlight that automatically goes before you and changes the world. So let's go ahead and do about 5 minutes of breath work. Once again, as I talked about the spine, I'd like to encourage you more and more to be conscious of the spine being nice and erect and straight. Be aware of the brain stem and the spinal column, the rod of initiation. And then as we're simply breathing, we're then breathing from the open doorway. The breath of spirit. We hold for a couple of counts. As we gently let go, we imagine, we feel, we visualize effervescent, sparkling, liquid golden light then emanating from us. We are becoming a Christ star, a Christ emanation. So let's go ahead and do the breath work for about 5 minutes, please. And another deep breath, summoning Spirit Source from within the open doorway within the heart, from out of the void, the revelation of spirit life. When we're doing the deep breath work, we're being aware of the Ujjayi breath, which is the head is just a little bit back, and as the chin is gently tucked in, when we're breathing source energy in, but it's coming up and it's going through more of the back of the throat and up around. You see the back of the sinuses, which is then enlivening the brain stem. And so we're actually then see we're breathing spirit life up and back around the brain stem. So it's a very deep enlivening, you see, of the brain stem, the spinal column, which is then this golden crystalline rod of initiation that's being enlivened within us. So there's a lot of things happening within the breath and within the ignition of light within us. And so to be more aware and more conscious of that, you see that actually then when you're aware that you're feeling the breath going up, again, a little bit the throat and through the back of the sinuses, you're then watching and observing as the brainstem and the spinal column becomes this golden, clear, crystalline structure. And you see as you're breathing, the mind can't be thinking. You're simply observing with the mind, the breath coming up, igniting the brain stem and the spinal column with this pure crystalline light. You are quickening your evolution. You are altering and adapting the environment for the body and for the DNA you see to restructure itself. So you see all changes and evolution to actually become what we call an evolutionary being. You can now evolve the being, the body, the being you are by knowing I am the breath of spirit, I am the breath of life. And as I'm focused and conscious of it moving up and igniting this light within me and I'm breathing out, we're adapting and changing the body. We become evolutionary beings within the worlds of form. We're no longer human beings, we are evolutionary beings. We are taking charge of our evolution. You see, most individuals, as they evolve, there's the story of there's a very tall, tall mountain, and human beings, they begin at the base of the mountain, and they begin to walk around. And they walk around slowly, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And it's very circular, circuitous movement around. And there's the first chakra, then there's the second chakra. And 20 lifetimes, you're now into the third chakra. But when you reach the heart chakra, after many, many lifetimes, a doorway opens. And in the interior of the mountain, there's a tube of light. And the tube of light is called initiation. And through meditation and through spiritual illumination, you can rise to the ascension of the higher chakras very quickly. But most people, they simply go back and then once again, they keep going around and around, even then working through, well, what is the meaning of love? They then work through the fifth chakra and they keep going around the mountain. It's the travail of humanity. It's what humans beings do. It's a learning system of pain and suffering as you find some error, some that didn't serve you, and you alter and adapt your consciousness, your environment. You then evolve and move a little bit higher up on the mountain. Well, if you want to go to the very center of the mountain with dedication and discipline, and with the evolutionary being that's inside of you, you quickly ascend to the mountaintop, and there is enlightenment in one lifetime. This is the one, and the Star Tetrahedron is that magnificent structure that takes you very quickly into the place of ascension within form, not leaving the form, but igniting the Christ body within you. So, very exciting work. Once again, money back guarantee. Let's do tonight. Yay! So we're going to go ahead and take you into the beginning of the Star Tetrahedron, the evolution of it within the form. I'll walk you through it. We know that the upper triangulation of divine power, apex above, and we can observe that the movement of the star, the triangulations, they're moving. We don't have to be too concerned with which way they're moving. I now know and clearly see that the upper triangulation is moving left to right. The lower triangulation is moving right to left. And as it creates this counter rotation, it opens in the vortex in the middle, the heart chakra. But whatever feels comfortable in your movement of the star tetrahedron, that's fine. What you're looking for to imagine is the vortex within the heart. That's the important part. We know that the triangulations are moving, but it's the vortex within the heart that opens into the void. And so we then work from source systems, you see, rather than physical manifestation. So let's go ahead and close the eyes and feel the body relaxing, please. Body relaxing, breath nicely and quiet. Spinal column erect. And with each breath, the body is relaxing and letting go. We bring our attention to between the eyebrows and draw a line straight back. And within the approximate center point of the head, we ignite the light. The light of the soul. An electric blue frequency of pure light that fills the mind and fills the brain with light. We focus the light to the heart chakra at the sternum and we illuminate the star tetrahedron. Whatever size feels comfortable for you and whatever rotation feels comfortable. But more importantly, it's opening a sacred vortex within the middle of the heart chakra, within the chest. Back into the realms of source, void, spirit. And arising forth is the breath of creation, touching the facets of the spinning star tetrahedron. And it is spinning out life and light, effervescent, sparkling light all around you, changing the frequency of the body to become the body of living light for the Christ I am. Let us sit quietly together, and I will join with each one of you in the revelation of the Christ star emanating light and peace into the world. Be aware of the breath. You're breathing in source and emanating light and life. Welcome home. I want to thank you very much for joining tonight, my friends. Absolutely exquisite, stellar, magnificent meditation. When we all join together, the light becomes quite magnified. So thank you very much. I appreciate it as I feel your light coalescing with everyone else's light and creating quite a magnificent light emanation into the world. This is how we, of course, restructure life, by simply emanating sunlight. The sun simply shines and the tree bears fruit, the flower in its time flowers, the grass grows, the birds and all creation simply sings its song by the sun. We are the sun. This is the individual Christ I am that we are igniting within us. Not a person, but a mechanism, the mechanism of creation, where we summon source from the open door within the heart, and through the geometry of the star tetrahedron, we then create a holographic light emanation. So practice, dedication, discipline, imagination, and the more you image and imagine, the more real it becomes day by day. Just like a muscle, we build and ignite the living light within and around us. We'll be back in approximately 2 weeks, so thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you once again. And I invite you, of course, to pick up the book Source Dialogues. You're going to find the revelation of awareness and consciousness within quite phenomenal. It's a test. It's a test. Amazon.com. That's where you can pick up the test. All right, loves. Thank you very much. Great pleasure tonight dancing with you in the light. It was a test. Testing.